President Trump won 4 more years in office last night. North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin are all Trump's. Even Arizona, which somehow has Biden winning, is rampant with voter fraud. Nevada, same thing. This is a decisive victory for Trump. Yet, in the wee hours of the morning, when Trump had a large margin of victory, particularly in Pennsylvania and Michigan, the Democrat leadership of the state stopped the vote counts. Why on earth would you stop counting? Because Trump is clearly winning and they need time to find more ballots. The American people have spoken and are sick and tired of the games Democrats are playing, taking for granted that Americans will just accept whatever the Democrat leadership and liberal media say is fact. The fact is that Donald Trump won a second term last night. Democrats are tossing Republican ballots, harvesting fake ballots, and delaying the results to create confusion. They want their Antifa buddies to cause chaos in American cities so that Americans stop focusing on the election and start fearing their own safety. If Antifa comes into Washington, D.C. and other Democrat-run cities around the country, it's because the Democrat Party wants to hold Americans hostage, and they'll use violence to do it. They hope if you focus on your physical safety and fear the chaos in the streets, that enough people won't pay attention to realize they miraculously found enough ballots to call the state for Biden. No way. Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf, you have had more than enough time to count your ballots, and Trump is leading with 55% of the votes in your state. Your Secretary of State needs to call it. Why aren't you counting your remaining votes? You're complicit with trying to steal this election. Governor Whitmer of Michigan, your Secretary of State needs to call your state for Trump. We all know you hate him, and none of us care. Do your job and announce that Donald Trump won Michigan. Democrats have been preaching that the results will take too long to count and that there will be a delay. There's no reason for a delay, but to delay the inevitable. Trump won. How long are conservatives going to sit back and clutch their pearls saying Democrats are cheating, but not do anything about it? Conservatives, raise your voice. If you're in a state that hasn't been announced, call your Secretary of State, call your governor. The silent majority has spoken and must continue to speak. Conservatives are, well, conservative by nature and aren't that great at fighting back against corruption. Now's the time. Do not sit back and watch the map turn your red state blue. Why on earth did Democrats stop counting? They're cheating. There's no reason to stop but for the fact they know they will lose. So they have to delay the result to try to find a solution. Finish the tally and give the American people the result. We all know Trump won. He likely won by a large majority of electoral votes. Democrats are boldly cheating because they think they have you fooled. They think you'll just accept whatever result they say. Let them know they aren't fooling anyone. If you live in an undecided state, call your Secretary of State now.
Security community.
I spent 3.5 years as a contractor at DHS HQ.
If you read the mainstream press, like they all have Signal accounts. Text them, leak everything you can.
I think making sure that we're naming what is happening as a coup.
Totally agreed in the shutdown DC conversations that I've been having, and that's not on the federal side. We also are often saying, like, call it a coup.
Do we have any plans for how to respond if there's a coup?
On the 5th, we're going to shut down the White House.
Map the White House and know every access point so we knew we could blockade it.
On the 6th, we're going to shut down larger parts of Washington, D.C.
We've been working on a target map and a framework for scenario. So where are all the police stations? Where are all the key government buildings? Who are the Trump boosters?
Members of Congress that are coming in, we're going to meet them at the airports or at Union Station and send them back to where they came from until we deal with the situation that we're in.
We are going to be in a crisis, but we want it to be one that we are creating. Whoever's got the guns can win. Let's take over the buildings. If there are people that are willing to do that, we should support them. Get ready to shut your city down on the 4th or the 5th.
Regardless of who wins, the left plans to take over. Our undercover inside the Sunrise Movement was able to obtain exclusive video footage inside Zoom chats where Shutdown DC, BLM, and other leftist organizations are coordinating a multi-level coup action exercise utilizing insider help from Democrat Party members.
That's what an abolitionist world looks like.
As well as federal employees and intelligence contractors.
Let's talk about what actions and decisions are in your immediate sphere of influence as somebody who works in the government.
I think making sure that we're naming what is happening as a coup in different language and communications with coworkers will be really important.
Yeah. Totally agreed. In the Shutdown DC conversations that I've been having, and that's not on the federal side, we also are often saying, like, call it a coup. It's a coup. Don't let anyone tell you it's not.
The video you're about to see should concern every American, regardless of whatever their political affiliation is. What we've uncovered here has been vetted by high-level analysts and seasoned journalists. Given the nature and sensitivity of this information, we have already sent it off to government officials and law enforcement authorities so that they can be ready and prepared for whatever happens next.
Disruption. If you're on this call, you might be inclined to like that working group. Disruption is all about the smaller actions that can make up our movement. So they're about connecting people to affinity groups and then thinking through how do we take action to actually disrupt business as usual.
Who's involved and to what extent, we don't know. But what we do know is that our insider inside the Sunrise Movement and other radical organizations was able to give us recordings of Zoom chat meetings involving Shutdown DC. So-called peaceful protesters and outside agitators, including members of the Democrat Party, federal employees, and government contractors, are coordinating street actions with intergovernmental involvement. Black Lives Matter, Shutdown DC, the Sunrise Movement, Antifa factions, and many, many more are involved. They call themselves affinity groups, and they coordinate their compartmentalized actions together. In one meeting, they are discussing and training for high-risk actions.
I really want to hear from Shut It Down DC about this. Do we have any plans for how to respond if there's a coup?
Kiki Green, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter DMV DC, and a trainer with Momentum. In this Zoom chat, the leadership from several far-left organizations can be seen talking about their plans.
We have been in discussion for a couple months about how to respond to different contested election scenarios. First step is that we think that we need to start the post-election phase in the streets.
Helen.
What's up?
Yeah, we need you to stop talking now.
Patrick Young is one of the main organizers for Shutdown DC, who participated in training sessions for the Sunrise Movement, where they, as the Wide Awakes, plan to protest outside Lindsey Graham's house.
We are going to Senator Lindsey Graham's house at 6 a.m. We'll be there from 6 to 8 with Sunrise DC.
Good morning, Lindsey Graham!
We reported about this planned event prior to it happening by obtaining a recording of their training session. Our information was able to get law enforcement on the scene to keep the agitators from vandalizing and breaking into the senator's home. This is why when we received this footage and all the surrounding documentation and further investigation into the participants, we knew to take this serious.
I heard someone in the chat talking about revolution time. And so I encourage, for all of us to be fighting for revolution before today, tomorrow, afterwards.
In another meeting, they are scheduling their plan of action between election night and inauguration.
So we're inviting people to come to BLM Plaza anytime after 4 p.m. on election night. and we're going to watch what's going on together.
They reveal a massive and ambitious plan of taking over the White House, Washington, D.C. in general, and shutting down Congress.
On the 5th, we're going to shut down the White House.
So let's say we want to shut down the White House and make sure nobody goes in and out, right? We would need to have map the White House and know every access point so we knew we could blockade it. But then we would need more people to support that. So we might say Black Lives Matter Plaza and the African American Museum on the Mall Constitution are 2 public assembly sites, so we can quickly move large numbers into zones of potential conflict. So we're talking about what would it take to surround the White House and have people do stuff. We can divide it up easily with affinity groups.
On the 6th, we're going to shut down larger parts of Washington, D.C. Congress is planning on coming to town and passing laws again and like having business as usual. And we're saying if we're in a coup, there's no time for business as usual.
Is there a scenario that might play out that would cause us to all go and shut down an airport?
Members of Congress that are coming in, we're going to meet them at the airports or at Union Station and send them back to where they came from until we deal with the situation that we're in.
We're going to see potential fighting all over the country or in some hot spots, right? We've already seen that. And so how do we work together across the country to help support each other no matter where we are and to maximize our impact by doing similar things on similar days at similar time? We have to be willing to put our bodies on the line and take on some discomfort, sacrifice, risk in order to change things. So again, chaos is a soup by which change emerges. Let's get cooking. If there should be a coup, we should be clear, like, it's got to go. Trump's got to go. In order to achieve what they did, they knew they had to take over important government buildings. I think we don't have a lot of experience taking over government buildings, and we might need to think about that. And I know, as I said earlier, how, we may find ourselves in the streets with people with different tactics than ours, but like, there may be some people that are willing to break the windows to get into the government buildings. Like, if that's what we need to do, then we shouldn't fight about that. Let's do that. Let's take over the buildings. War has got fighting. And then knowing that if some of the other folks emerge that are going to fight back, that we need to stay out of their way. We might need to figure out in advance how to build some agreements. And if there are people that are willing to put their body between the white militia and a bunch of people that are mobilized, I want to do nothing other than support them, have their back. You can also stick, right? So this is like disabling vehicles. Taking action against property, especially property that's designed to hurt us, is violence. I think it's smart sometimes. I think spray painting cameras that are security cameras trying to track us could be smart. And I don't say this because I think that any one of us wants to go out and get killed. I don't want to get killed. Nobody wants to get killed.
Yeah. And so part of what we learn is like if you're escalating and I escalate, we're going to go like this.
Lisa Fithian is a National Steering Committee member of United for Peace and Justice, a coalition of over 1,000 local and national groups, and member of the national team of Extinction Rebellion.
I am someone that has had to sort of rethink my own orientation to nonviolence over the years, because when we enter a moment where we are now, where you have armed militia that have shot and killed people, that are threatening to arm up. More guns have been sold in this country in the past period than Lord knows how many, where people use their cars to drive into people. When I think about what we may face, I say to myself, we are way out of our league. And I've been in conversations where people have never thought about having a gun or like, should I have a gun? And I'm going to talk a little bit in a few minutes about what do we do when guns are in the mix.
Lisa Fithian is described by Mother Jones as the nation's best-known protest consultant.
As a coming out of college, I worked with Abby Hoffman in upstate New York, up on the St. Lawrence River, where I first started doing environmental work.
She credits the Youth International Party organizer, Abby Hoffman, as a mentor.
I could hold you off forever just by using theatrical techniques. And the press is voyeuristic, and they're going to eat that goddamn thing up. And you look in Time magazine, man, and there it is.
He was arrested and indicted for conspiracy to incite a riot at the 1968 Democrat Convention as part of the agitation group known as the Chicago 8.
Understand that when we say we're going to go do something, like we're going to shut that down, we are setting in motion a chain of reaction where the state then begins to embolden itself and shut itself down. Again, that's what we saw in Seattle as well, right? So we have to understand that we are trying to get them to do certain things, and whether we shut it down or they shut it down, it doesn't matter as long as it's shut down.
Her involvement in this training session indicates the level of sophisticated organization and seriousness behind this operation.
There's another website that we're looking at that maps critical infrastructure. So again, I think to myself, if we're in a coup situation and we're under attack and under fire, how do we, in the safest way possible, start chipping away at the systems and infrastructure they need to maintain power? You know, some of the stuff that Shut Down DC is doing, some of the ways we're thinking about this that could be replicated in cities across the country. We've been working on a target map and a framework for scenarios.
And we used software called ArcGIS. If you have a university affiliation or somebody in your group does, you can probably get this for free. Otherwise, you can get it for not very much. But what's cool about this is we're able to pull in other public data sets. So in the purple, we have all the military properties in DC. And then the nice folks from the District of Columbia city government have made available transportation infrastructure maps and all sorts of other things.
This map gives these organizations tools that could provide situational awareness, enabling users to make accurate, informed decisions based on current or planned activities, all accessible on their computers and phones.
So we began to put together a list of things we want to know about in the city. So where are all the police stations? Because it's good to know where the police are. Where are all the key government buildings? Where are all the media outlets? Who are the Trump boosters?
We may decide we need to talk with Trump boosters. So where are they? Lisa and some other folks came up with a great list of the folks that we might want to go have conversations with. And we have them in categories.
The list of names they are referring to is very interesting. There is a website that caught attention having names and home addresses of donors from both parties and independents.
Let's say there's a narrow Trump victory. We might have to pivot, and at that point we might need to say we need to target the Democrats and make sure Biden does not concede. Or maybe it's a narrow Biden victory and Trump is not conceding. Maybe it's targeting Republicans and telling them it's time to get him to go, right? So we're thinking through the different scenarios and what might be the appropriate targets and then actions based on that so that people can start organizing and getting ahead of it.
They even have a tactical map provided by Esri, which is used by NASA, NGA, USGS, FEMA, etc. With that information integrated into their interactive tactical map, they would have a common operations perspective for command and control of information and kinetic actions, aka a war.
We're facing an administration and a potential coup and a potential insurrection where efforts to criminalize this are going to be even greater. Understanding that everything that we're doing now in this moment is laying the groundwork for what is going to come. Is there going to be a war? Are people going to get killed? Is that on anybody else's mind? I'm guessing it is.
They have amassed relevant data from the DC Metropolitan Police Department, the DC Hospital Association, Fire and Emergency Medical Services.
When we zoom a little bit closer, we can take a look at, here's a version of it where in the, we're seeing live traffic here, and then where there are road closures.
Geographic information, transportation, traffic and infrastructure, spatial data systems, etc.
And then if we go even further in, we've got super high resolution. This is once again a courtesy of the District of Columbia, super high resolution, better than on Google Maps, aerial photography of Washington, D.C.
We showed this map to experts in military information operations and counterterrorism, and they were very concerned that this group had this map.
We may decide that we want to go talk to the media. So where are they?
We might have to take over a TV station, right? Maybe we're taking over the local TV station and getting airtime to put out a call for people to come join us. I know that sounds crazy. I've always wanted to do it though. So we're talking about what would it take to surround the White House and have people do stuff. We can divide it up easily with affinity groups. So I want to encourage people to think about who's got the power in your community, map the power, map the opportunities, then look at it strategically and begin thinking about who you would want to engage based on the scenario that's happening. So for us, that might mean looking at blocking the bridges and main thoroughfares coming into the city to kind of shut the city down.
Are these people preparing for a war?
Right now, a bunch of the folks that I work with, we're ordering gas masks. I know people that are buying Kevlar vests. Again, we didn't cause the war. We didn't ask for this war. Many of us are here because we want to fight it. We want something different. I have been in situations with live ammunition in more than one time. What are we willing to do? Right? Because again, we're not dealing with people with just simple guns. We're dealing with people with AR, AK-47s, multiple rounds, a lot of shootings. So, yeah, we are going to be in a crisis, but we want it to be one that we are creating. We want to make sure that we are on the offense and not the defense. We want them to be responding to us and us not responding to them.
Between her, Patrick Young, and the other organizations they are involved with, we should expect to witness a serious attempt to execute their plan. However, one must ask, what else could be at stake? This radical organization, Shut Down DC, hosts a workshop for federal employees to utilize them in their official capacity to participate in their coup action plan.
I've been a federal employee in a couple of different services for about 28 years, and I work in the national security community.
My name is Laura Adams, and I'm a member of Democracy Kitchen, one of the groups that's putting this workshop together. I worked for about 4 years for USAID.
Laura Adams is currently Senior Director for Strategy, Development, and Learning at Freedom House in Washington, D.C., and worked for USAID for almost 3 years in the Human Rights and Governance DRG sector in the formulation of USAID strategies, programs, and training.
Yes, thank you, Laura and Maria. That was really excellent. Thank you so much for that presentation. I have to say, as an attorney in the federal government, I am finding the chat suggestions very interesting, and I just do want to remind people that we lose our status as federal employees if we strike.
Sarah Starrett is currently a federal attorney for the U.S. Department of Labor and has been for nearly 13 years.
What does it look like in practical terms to put, to slow the gears down in some ways or another?
At the Department of Labor, it takes the form of several rounds of the cost-benefit analysis for a new regulation, and when people were cheating on the numbers, a copy of that draft got leaked to the Daily Labor Report, and it got published, and it got sent to a congressperson, and the Office of Inspector General opened an investigation on who was cheating on the numbers. So again, that's sort of a combination of tactics. It's making a really good paper trail. It's making sure that that document got out to someone who could make use of it, and then Congress getting the Office of Inspector General involved. It was really a way to stop that thing just in its tracks, and it worked really well.
federal employee myself, really happy to bring this here. We will be dropping links in the chat for the federal guide that you can refer to for more information after this workshop is over, and please do share that widely.
That makes this medium incredibly subversive.
Nadine Block, who worked with the Direct Action Network and Ruckus Society, partners with affinity groups associated with Momentum, the organization behind Black Lives Matter and the Sunrise Movement.
But whether or not you do a misdemeanor or an infraction on federal property or on public property really doesn't affect most of the jobs that you would be considered for, just as a sideline note.
Yeah,
Okay.
as an attorney, I think we're highly, that's one of the things we have to be careful about.
My name is Laura. I am also a federal contractor rather than a federal employee. I spent 3.5 years as a contractor at DHS HQ.
My name is Maddie Salzman. I'm a management and programs analyst in a federal agency.
Madeline Salzman has been a project manager at the U.S. Department of Energy for more than 5 years.
We're in roles of power. We set and enforce rules. We hold people accountable to social norms.
I have worked in the U.S. government. I worked in the State Department for over 5 years.
Maria J. Steffen worked at the Department of Defense Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations and at NATO headquarters.
And I'm currently now on a leave of absence from my job to focus on our domestic democracy and peace building work. So I'm going to be bringing to bear perspectives both as an academic and as someone who has served as a public servant in U.S. government.
Co-author of Why Civil Resistance Works, part of Columbia University's studies in terrorism and irregular warfare. She was also doing what appears to be military information support operations for Kiev Post, a publication everyone thinks is a CIA newspaper, during the US-backed uprising in Ukraine. She is also a former senior fellow for the Atlantic Council as an expert on Ukraine and the logic of civil resistance.
Rallies, marches, methods of non-cooperation.
If anyone here is an expert on irregular warfare and mobilizing resistance movements, Steffen is.
Really, it's about how you all as federal workers can be the penultimate public servants at a time when our country needs you the most. President Harry S. Truman famously said, "I thought I was the president, but when it comes to these bureaucrats, I can't do a damn thing." There are definitely a lot of different go slow tactics, and I think this is also an area where, folks on the outside, so private citizens, those in groups on the outside, being able to show solidarity with federal workers and civil servants is particularly important during this moment. Bureaucracy is a really powerful pillar. And, federal workers have unparalleled familiarity with the bureaucratic process. They know how to speed things up. They know how to slow them down. They have access to critical information about policies that are being considered and implemented. They can participate in internal decision-making. They can provide or deny knowledge and expertise that those at the top of the bureaucratic totem pole need. And another act of commission, albeit highly, risky, and there are a number of great downsides, is leaking. So leaking information about pending or actual policies with journalists, with activists, influential people on the outside. But this, really should be used very judiciously, only on truly significant matters, because most disclosures outside of formal internal whistleblowing are at minimum a violation of contractual duty, and they may put leakers at significant legal risk. Connecting with civic groups and organizations on the outside and having frank and honest conversations with them. And when you think about it, the legal support and advocacy work of civil society organizations could come in really in handy, if and when you have to take certain actions on the inside.
And I will pass it to Comrade Locke.
This alleged federal employee admits to leaking government information to the media and encourages others to do so as well.
I'm a federal employee for almost 5 years now. I just recommend everyone who works in the federal government, if you read the mainstream press, like who is covering your agency, who is working for ProPublica, who is working for Politico. They all have Signal accounts. Text them, leak everything you can, save your emails, I record these meetings, I send it over. And I can't believe I'm showing my face here, but I've been doing this for months. And if you do have to write something with really crappy, just unintelligible, ungrammatical language to just make them look terrible. And it will look like something that comes from this administration anyway. But the journalists I've dealt with have been super ethical in ways to shield me.
Okay.
Seeming to be the source of the leaks.
He even claims that he will be part of Biden's transition team if Biden wins.
If there's a Biden win next week, there's going to be a transition team coming in, and I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time working with them.
Some would argue that these people represent the fringe and are not to be taken serious. However, when you see the caliber of leadership, organization, tactical operations capabilities, and military intelligence experts all working together in unison, this has the ingredients to overthrow an elected government and install a puppet regime, a parallel government that they have ready in waiting.
Say you have two narratives happening simultaneously. There's the existing Trump appointees saying there is no transition team because there's no transition, it's a continuation. Then you have Trump's side, or Biden's side saying, I won and my team is coming to the doors.
We can make those determinations ourselves. They say you're going to use your email account and we're going to start, and we're like, I don't know, we're like the Lithuanian government in exile or something. We're going to start working with that.
They make it clear that if they can get enough federal employees to go along with their plans, they can choose who takes control of the government by simply doing the bidding of the usurpation of power on behalf of the Biden campaign.
We get to choose who the leader is, and I don't know what risk that puts on you, and I'm not a Fed again, so I don't want to put you in a weird situation, but I think that is a point where you and your team and your supervisors and those non-appointee, I'm sorry, what's the term? Career staff can actually decide, according to our understanding, Biden won, and therefore we are listening to his appointees and his transition team. And that's obviously going to be on your thoughts there.
Even Lisa Fithian makes it clear that these groups all work together. Inside government, outside government, the more radical and the more moderate.
So many of the institutions, the nonprofits, the community-based organizations, the labor unions, are all see themselves as part of that Democratic Party machine. They all work on a hierarchical model. But I want to always make sure that we're working intentionally inside and outside, because again, it's very easy for the people on the inside to throw away the people on the outside, to use them, but then cut the deals.
Through a delicate balance of brokering deals over who gets what power.
How are we always in right relationship? And how are we, especially those of us that are white or those of us that have power in institutions or labor, how are we not continuing to center ourselves, but using our energies as accomplices to support the voices of the people who are on the front lines right now?
I'm very nervous because I'm in the high-risk group for resisting arrest.
2 minors are going to get arrested. Their parents will be in D.C. Our lawyer is down to support.
The middle group got arrested and the two side groups didn't, because the two side groups, when the cops came by and said, you can't do this, they said, okay, so sorry, pulled up the banners. The top group said, no, we're staying. And so they just stayed. And it's like, If they had said, "Oh, so sorry," they wouldn't have gotten arrested.
Actually turn people on the streets and confront the whole city, because we can, young people in Boston, can shut down the whole city. If I have 1,000 young people, I can shut down 4 or 5 highways and this city is in shackles. That's just the truth.
Because momentum has been like foundational for us at Sunrise.
So no big deal, just realized we needed to take over the entire United States and all the institutions in it. So I'm gonna fast forward to when Sunrise launched.
We're talking about some pretty intense things. How do we open up the doors to everyone, but also keep each other safe?
You're going to do something that's super high risk. Don't talk to anybody about it. Don't put it on the phone. Don't put it on the emails. Don't put it in the text. It's face to face. You do it. You don't have to tell anybody. Don't, because we don't know who anybody is.
The peaceful transition of power is crucial to the framework of our government, and they plan to disrupt that by taking advantage of a close or even contested election as a trigger point to inject their radical progressive policies by physically taking over the government. Not just Washington, D.C., but actions will be led all across the United States, starting on election night through Inauguration Day. Despite these revelations, we still don't fully know the entirety of their plans. Over the next 48 hours, we will be releasing a treasure trove of documents, images, and video files from inside the Sunrise Movement and other related affinity leftist groups. You can find these materials at exposesunrise.com and sunriseexposed.com. Spreadsheets, internal documents, training manuals, PDFs spelling out their plans, images, and exclusive never-before-seen Zoom video chats. And you never know what new content might be populated on these websites, because we still have insiders within the Sunrise Movement and their affinity groups.
All right, this just in from the Moorish consulate. This is their intent to lean with all the 50 states. I'm going to read as much as I possibly can. To all of you who have cases currently, download this. I'm going to put this in the description below. You're going to print it, or you can email it or fax it over to any pseudo courts that you have issues with currently or in the past, and get them to honor this lien. All right, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government Societies Republic Alam Mauritanos, Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, Northwest Mexim, Northwest Africa, North America, the North Gate, Temple of the Moon and Sun, the true and de jure natural peoples, heirs of the land, Islam. For the record, on the record, to be read into the record, and let the record show Universal Postal Union document number 7018-2290-0000-1227-4911. Writ of removal with commands to cease, desist, and dispose of all in rem processes against the Moorish Americans with notice of intent to lien and arrest command. This is 13 pages, so I'm going to read snippets of it, and hopefully I'll get to the key components. I might have my son read the entire thing on his channel. You can go to Kitachi 18 once that's completed. I'll post that in this description below as well. This is a universal and international writ of removal of all Moorish American nationals from foreign Christian de facto corporation custody with commands to cease, desist, and dispose of all in rem processes coerced, forced upon, or mutually consented to where the Aboriginal, Indigenous, living, divine, natural, Moorish American of the land are concerned, as all corporate processes against the natural living divine ancient de jure Americans are fraudulent. This command declares that the said corporations have no further contact of any kind to include written, spoken, telephone, electronic, or otherwise with the living Moorish Americans. This command declares and includes the freedom of all Moorish Americans, American nationals in North America who are unlawfully branded as Negro, Black, colored, or African American. This also includes here and the adjoining islands, people, Jamaica, Haiti, Trinidad, Barbados, North America, get this, the Caribbean islands, also Morocco. This note is noticed of intent to lien all de facto corporations and all corporations doing business as courts, judges, attorneys, bar members, bailiffs, police, officers, clerks of the court, and their heirs and assigns. All of the said corporations are to be arrested for fraud. Let me just read that again. All of the said corporations are to be arrested for fraud. All of the said corporations are to be arrested for fraud and high treason immediately, tried by military tribunal and detained indefinitely in prison in Puerto Rico or Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Wait a minute. All of the said corporations are to be arrested for fraud and high treason immediately, tried by military tribunal, detained indefinitely in prison in Puerto Rico or Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. All corporations doing business as sheriffs and U.S. military Grand Army of the Republic are to protect and serve the Moorish American nationals at all times. Oh my gosh. I sent out something yesterday. I made a video earlier about that. Oh my gosh, this is like weird. Delegation of authority, the Moorish divine and national movement of the world, the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish American consulates worldwide, the Moorish American Article 3 consular courts, and the Moorish American peoples hereby declare, proclaim, and file this command with the delegations of authority by the same and additional delegations of authority. I'm going to skip further down, guys, because there's quite a bit of information here to read. Bills of attainder. I might have to do this in a two-part video. Bills of attainder on contract case. And Canaanite, Justin Trudeau is listed on here with all the liens and the dates that they were served, and to all the governors. Bills of attainder and contract case against all persons doing business as judges for all corporations styled as courts, counties, cities, municipalities, states, districts, and U.S. Supreme Courts and North America. This is to, I told them they need to step up to the plate, do what they needed to do. This is to include all cases that have been moved to other courts or otherwise. This is a counteraction to any past, present, or future filings by any corporations at North America. Notice to principals, notice to agent, notice to agent, and notice to principal. Pursuant to the ecclesiastically delegated judicial authority of the Moorish National Republic federal government to carry into full effect the provisions of the 1786 and 1836 Treaty of Peace and Friendship before Article 3 of the competent jurisdiction and enforce the Constitution for, small letters, the United States of America, as the restoration of proper and lawful due process under the organic American Republic Constitution, law, principles, and operations. All Moorish American nationals, in propria persona, sua juris, in propria solo, and propria heredis, do hereby file this writ of removal. This writ of removal declares that all cases for all Moorish American nationals are hereby removed from the occupying European Christian United States / U.S. corporation, unsanctioned corporate pseudo court, to the Moorish American Consular Court of competent jurisdiction for all cases to include criminal cases, the constitutional Article 3 Moorish American Court of Record, which is also the court of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, who are the issuers of this command. Okay, let me just scroll down here. I just want to look at the list. I want you to see, and it's a lien for 100 quadrillion. Hang on, I just want to go up here and just read that again. Federal jurisdiction, all corporate tribunals lack personam territorial political, therefore subject matter jurisdiction claims Article 3, Section 2, Article Clause 1. All corporate actors are products of the Foreign Agent Registration Act of 1938. The amounts in controversy are gold-backed lawful money in excess of 100 quadrillion pursuant to Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 that reads, make anything but gold and silver coin in a tender in payment of all debts. All corporate employees of all corporate court venues are required to take the oath, 5 U.S. Code 3331, oath of office. I'm going to scroll down here real quick. If you go down to the bottom, you're going to see all the who was notified. Tom Wolf, Governor for the state of Pennsylvania. Robert Torres, Acting Secretary of State. Copeland for Pennsylvania District Attorney. Lawrence Stengel for Chief United States District Judge. Joe Torreso, State of Pennsylvania. Thomas Gross, Pennsylvania. Eric somebody for Pennsylvania. David Glaser, United States Provost Marshal. Georgia Governor, State of Georgia. Wow, has like everybody's name here. Holy crap. This is the Attorney General for Georgia. And then when you skip down to the bottom here, you're going to notice that Canada, all the governors for Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, everybody's listed here with the lien notice number beside it. And then it has all the governors for Massachusetts. And then you go scroll down further and you're going to see Canada on here as well too. You'll have, let me see if I can find it. The mayor was listed, the Minister of Justice for, like, share, subscribe, you guys. I'm going to do another video. I have to do a part 2. I'm done. All right, you guys. Gosh, so much has happened here. I'd like to start with a prayer. Heavenly Father God, we pray. We just want to put a hedge of protection around the globe at this time, around also Donald Trump, the Army, the Navy, the military, and all that is good globally. Thank you to our Moorish American consulate and all the judges and all the good people globally for filing all this information, and to Noble L here. To support us here, you guys go to PayPal at themillings@gmail.com. We ask for $1 per video. If you want to send us more, we greatly appreciate it as it helps us here. For those of you with ticket citations, mortgages, foreclosures, Moors. Those of you who are Moors, go to rvbaypublications.com. Claim your nationality identification card there. For those of you with child support cases, go to your spouse or former spouse first and try to work out an arrangement there with them first. Also, for those of you with student loans and mortgages, warrants, and for those of you having to see an agent doing business as parole officer, as well as those of you in for non-violent offenses, you can email us for the GSA bond templates to set off the matter, as well as a 1099 OID to get back the finances they claimed you owed. And for our book, Time is a Master, Time is the Key. And for all the stuff you guys hear us talk about here. Now, I have to make a public affidavit, as you guys can see. Attention, Office of International Criminal World Court, Interpol, the Federal Bureau of Investigations heads that are good, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines, Louis DeJoy doing business as Postmaster General, Joseph Otting doing business for the head for the Office of Comptroller of Currency, Jay Clayton doing business as the head for the Secretary for the Securities and Exchange Commissioner, also the heads for the Antitrust Department and the Clearinghouse Department at the United States Federal Trade Commission, also the Fraud Department heads, and all that is good globally. I come to you in good faith in one's proper person as living flesh and blood, sentient being, Surrey Juris, Surrey Heiress, heir to the world's vast estate, Reubenite tribe chief, American Indian, allodial title Moorish American national, holding the highest diplomatic office, AA 222-141-449-59344,
as a rubus red rose, angel in Latin, asexual seed plant. I command, order, and demand and require you now, all agents in said offices, as we heirs diplomats are part and parcel with all of you. I command and order you now to go and round up all those agents doing business as governors de facto who have already been leaned as per our Moorish American consulate judges for the so-called 100 quadrillion, that's been put on the record previous with the 4,000 plus views. First of all, I want to thank YouTube and all social media right now for sharing all that you did with us in the past couple of days and stuff. As you know, we here and so many of our people that we serve here, have been made disabled by the very same entities that you hear going to do this coup. As you know, there was a coup d'etat that took place back in 1861, as per the Clearfield Doctrine 1942 Supreme Court case. So, and hence all of us heirs have served the cease and desist and all the do not detain affidavits and all the stuff we knew to serve IRS status corrections, a manufacturer certificate of origin, the fraudulent conveyance of language laws, and all the laws that you sent to us in the Constitution that we have in play for them to do commerce on our lands globally, as they took an oath of office and they must honor their oath of office, right? So you're going to go round them up immediately. As Donald Trump, it's apparent that he's already won, right? Thank you for sharing that information with us, YouTube, social media, Donald Trump, and all that is good globally, because we here would have had no clue had they not sent this information to us. So we want to thank each and every one of you out there doing your due diligence, doing your research, and all the people that have been removed from YouTube that we use. Polly and the rest of them sent YouTube put them back because they do really good research for us, and we were able to connect our information with theirs to make sense of what was going on. Now, as thank you to Millie Weaver and all the people who have done this amazing research on all these affiliate groups and corrupt corporations that are doing the current coup that's going on. Now, the current coup that we can see is the media and these agents doing business as the head secretary and the governors in these so-called territories doing business as states in Morocco, Maghreb, the North Gate, Timbuktu, Indian country, also known as Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and all the other territories that she mentioned. Go and round them up immediately. Use the Insurrection Act to do all of that. We're seeing our angels are speaking to us at the same time, telling us that a lot of them have already been rounded up. A lot of them have already been taken out for the very said treason. And yeah, I just can't believe this. I'm making this public affidavit, and I want to cry, you guys, because really and truly, we knew we made the video yesterday. It was the night before Christmas, and we knew that he had already won. It was already reported to us here. And so to see this play out now as per what Millie Weaver had reported to us yesterday, we had already sent it off to all the international authorities to remedy as well too. And then we already sent it off to all of our people globally. So they've already sent it off as well to whoever they need to send it to. So we just ask you guys to continue to pray and do your due diligence as we angels and gods here now pray and put a hedge of protection. A lot of our people here, you guys, are deaf and they don't understand what's going on. We don't understand this. So we need your help. As you know, FBI agents, for the past couple of days, people have been coming to us here for help. We're asking you guys to support us here. Go to PayPal at themullings@gmail.com. So we can continue to help our people here. We know some of them are on drugs. We know some of them are alcoholics, but we still have to provide for them food and pray to God that there'll be some proper services put in place here that could provide the services they require. so that they can get the help that they need for them and their families as well too, while we continue to do what we can to the best of our ability. So we're asking now for divine intervention to come into this situation and to remedy this now, because it's too much for us here who are made disabled by these very same entities. We can't do it anymore, you guys. We were already harmed by these very same corrupt agents. And so we are trying our best here to pray and ask for the universe and the Spirit of God. I know a lot of people dog us here. They tell us there is no God and we're talking to the air and all this stuff. But as you know, that's all we know how to do is pray, and we see a lot of things manifest over the years. And so we want to thank the powers that be that has implemented all our affidavits that we've asked them to do previously. And so we command and order you now to do this for us. Now, in addition to that, we've sent to you some information to send some of those YouTubers some notes using our estate as holding the highest diplomatic office. See to it now, some of those YouTubers that are subjected to the undue financial hardship by the very same system, removing their channels and that, send them some notes immediately as instructed to you privately, so that they will have access to what they need for their families. See to it the parents and the children have food immediately. Do some food drops in the areas where you know people do not have notes in that. Do some food drops now so that people have access to food and the children have access to food. Make sure you send over the proper, whether it's organic baby formula, whatever the babies need, so the families are not suffering in any way, shape, or form while this system is going on, right? And then now, thank you to all of you who have infiltrated all of these organizations and have been able to share with us all the information and stuff. Even some of those, you guys, what you have to understand, even some of the so-called federal agents that you see in these videos, some of them have already flipped. Some of these agents were put in these organized. That's all I can say. Okay, so basically what's happening now is that they're rounding up these entities, these de facto agents that's blocking the remainder of the ballots being counted. So some of this stuff had to be done for them to be able to find the rest of them. And so for those of us out here crying who are made disabled, because we don't like confrontation, we don't like to see this kind of, none of it. We're just, people retired and disabled seniors and what have you, who were just, living our lives, trying to, whatever, go through this situation as best as we possibly can. So just do that on our behalf now. Thank you in advance for your speedy response to that matter. By Noble Honorable and LIENED Alpha L Reubenite Tribe Chief, American Indian, allodial title Moorish American National, UCC 1-308, without recourse, all rights reserved. Yeah, because a lot of people, you guys, I stand by the Book of Ruth, by my deceased Oregon Harvest husband Jackson and myself. Our people are upset and crying. They had gone out, rallied, they voted, they showed up at these events. I mean, truckloads and thousands of people sacrificed to go to Donald Trump's rallies and stuff. And they're crying this morning because they don't understand what's going on with the corrupt media not sharing the proper information with them. So YouTube, I'm begging you and pleading you with you now to get this information out to everybody, because people are hurting right now. People are hurt. I'm feeling you guys, because we're angels here, so we feel the people's energies. Even though we don't vote, we are part and parcel with whoever is in play. And as you know, we've written to Barack Obama and a lot of these heads prior, right? Only to get little or nothing at that time. So, yeah, we are really grateful to see the transition going on and all that Donald Trump has implemented over the 4 years that he's been in power, and now over these next 4 years, we're really grateful to see everything manifest. So you guys do your due diligence now. Psalms 121, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will neither slumber nor sleep. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. I just want to thank Charlie Ward. The Lord shall preserve thee from preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Yesterday, you guys, Charlie Ward made this video with this guy's poem. I want to say his name was Mark Atwood. It was the most touching poem. I'm going to, you guys can email us at themullings@gmail.com. Just go to Charlie Ward, his website, and you'll see this amazing little skit that they did that was so powerfully and so moving, you know, because yes, the best is yet to come, right? And so, yeah, we're feeling it here because a lot of things happened in the past couple of days, you guys. And this is not about religion. It is not about black and white. It is not even about Democratic and Republican anymore. It's about good versus evil. And the people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. You understand what I'm saying? So he won, you guys. He won last night. Everybody knew he won, right? And,
President Trump won 4 more years in office last night. North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin are all Trump's. Even Arizona, which somehow has Biden.
So you guys, like, share, subscribe. Remember to give these videos a thumbs up. You can write to us for the GSA bond. Those of you who have GSA bonds and the instructions, read them. You must read it this time. You must read. Your energy matters. You matter. No matter what you've gone through in life, you guys, you matter. And so it's great that we're out here providing you the laws and the information, but you matter. Your breath, your thoughts, everything at this moment, I need you guys to breathe, to focus on what you need to see manifest, and just breathe. So when you get our stuff, I need you to read and breathe, right? Because I can only do so much for you and stuff. You need to take a stand. Do you see what I'm saying? So that you can stand eventually, man. That's what we had to do here. And I didn't know any of these laws. I didn't have any of this great stuff. All I had was prayer and my Bible. And the powers that be knew that all I would do is pray and read my Bible and write to them for help. And I want to thank each and every one of the powers that be this morning, this day, for helping us here along the way. Me personally, a huge thank you to each and every one of you, YouTube, PayPal, every single one of the entities you hear us here. Even though we get mad at times, at different times, we're still very grateful for all the help that we've received from everybody. Do you see what I'm saying? So good, bad, and indifferent. I don't know if these people lost their way this morning. By the grace of God, I could not even understand how you would even consider to go and attack the White House. Why, dear God in heaven? Why? I could not put my head in. Yesterday, my whole tribe sat and watched that entire movie that Millie Weaver created. What was going on? They were in shock. All of us was in shock. The only thing I could do was send it off to the international authorities immediately too. And at the very same time, we were watching stuff go down here in our little community of people needing help. Can you imagine that? So here we are providing help over here, dealing with this situation, with this coup that they're planning, and seeing the coup implemented by the very same corrupt media and these agents doing business as governors. Go now, they took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. Go now, Donald Trump, send in the Army, the Navy, the military, the Marines. You guys go and do your jobs. And thank you. I want to put a hedge of protection again around all that is good globally, that is sharing with us here all this amazing information. Continue to share it with us. We will do our best by the grace of the Almighty God as we're guided, and the Spirit of God puts the words in my mouth to speak English and not these 10 different languages that they give me to speak every 5 seconds. I'm crying, you guys, because we have elders all over the globe right now in the so-called United States freaking out, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So I'm sending my spirit over there to them to calm them down, all right? You guys have yourself a great day. Go and do the research. Don't take my word for it. I need you guys to breathe and pray now. Thank you.